Hey everyone, it's Alexa with Grace Cherish, where we are creating beautiful and hospitable places. It's a new day, and today we are in my tea room. And I recently did a project in this room and wanted to share a little bit about it because I was thinking about just the beauty and hospitality and like creating places and how that's so important. And I talk a lot about that in the garden, but the home is where it actually started for me. And so I wanted to share some interior design tips that kind of speak to that bigger picture for me of creating beauty and hospitality and making our places something that are really meaningful and have depth. So in this room, what started as just this, I'm going to show you a picture of what the room looked like when we first moved in. It was a part of the original layout of the home. When we started our renovation, we decided to move our kitchen from one part of our house to another part of our house. And we thought, okay, we'll use this little nook and make it a breakfast nook. But as we lived here, it didn't make much sense to do that because we had our dining room that we knew was going to be in this area. And then right next to me, you can't see in the camera, but right next to me is our kitchen island that has seating. And so it didn't really make sense to create a whole nother breakfast nook. And my family, I noticed, didn't really use it in that way and wouldn't have used it that way. So what we decided to do was create a tea room. And that's actually because of Brandon. He came up with the idea one day and we were like, yes. Now we love tea. Brandon loves tea, I love tea. We actually don't even drink coffee in our home. I love to drink coffee at a coffee shop, the whole environment and thing, but for me it's more social. But we do have a French press for those of you who come to our home. We do have one because there are other people who love their coffee, but we focus on loose leaf tea, especially because we like trying new blends and things like that. That is our thing. And so creating a tea room made a lot of sense from a functionality standpoint. And it also was just a fun way that we could add a sense of coziness, because when we think of tea and we think of sitting and enjoying and having it, we feel like tea is one of those just draws out conversation and you just sit and enjoy. So we wanted to have that because, again, that's very much speaks to our heart's desire in terms of showing hospitality, whether it's within our family or within people who come and stay and hang out with us or whatever. So that is where the tea room was born. Now, when it comes to design, you want to think through functionality. What am I going to do in this space? Who needs the space? Who's going to be using this space? And so for us, tea room, naturally, people have coffee stations. We have a tea station, essentially. But what we also wanted was to make sure that we were creating another place for people to engage with one another and in conversation. And so again, chairs were going to be necessary for that. And we thought a side table would be helpful because, again, you can place your drink. Now, when it comes to my design philosophy, one, I wanted to lean into the cottage feel of our house. We live on 10 acres. We have a story and a half house. It's very much so like this cottage feel. And when I think about seating, like my design philosophy is the more seating, the better. I love having seating. I love the idea, again, hospitality, bringing people in. That is a huge part of what it is that I like to do here. So having comfortable seating is very, very important. I think you can find comfortable seating at all budget price points. I love Facebook Marketplace for this. We just got a sofa off there. It's fantastic. It's wonderful, but you have to look, and these chairs actually came from Wayfair. I found them on a deal. And so I said, let's do it. They have the plaid feel or look, which again goes with our cottage vibe. It's just, all of it really worked well together. Now, when I got these chairs and I put them up, you can see in this room, it's gone through many iterations. And this, how we originally bought it. Then we used it as our dining room for months as we were waiting for the remodel of this room to be done. Then we played around with different seating ideas with the couches that we already had. That didn't work. And so we ended up landing on, let's do a tea room, and we go with these two chairs. And so what I loved about the chairs was their comfort. I liked the style of the shape of the arm, all of that. But when I would look at them against the tongue and groove that we already had here, there was nothing, like they didn't stick out to me. It was white chairs on a white wall. And so I was really thinking through, what can I do that's different? I didn't want a stark contrast, but I knew we needed some type of contrast. That's what I was missing. And contrast is huge in design and a beautiful way to help you highlight the things that you want to highlight. So I decided I was going to go to the store. I was going to get myself some plywood, and I got a piece of trim. I nailed them to the wall, primed them, painted them, and I knew this is what needed to be done to help draw your eye to this seating, because for me, it's you walk into the kitchen, you see this now with this dark wall, light colored chairs, you come, you sit, which to me is beautiful. I wanted to invite people in. I do think the dark color, also because dark colors tend to draw in, they make things feel smaller. It did add another layer of coziness to it. And so it added the contrast, it added some more coziness, kind of creating this small cocoon. It kind of separated the room while still helping it be connected to the rest of the kitchen, because the black color here, I color matched it to a cabinet that we already had. It was just an IKEA cabinet we've been using, but I liked the color of it, so I thought I'll just color match it. And it ties into the granite countertops we have. And the reason we chose those granite countertops was because of the wood stove that was original to the house, that had this beautiful piece of black granite on it with, you can see the movement of the veins in there. And I was like, we need to do this for our countertops in our kitchen. And so when I thought about this room, I said, okay, that's another way to tie in that black element. And that is something that you want in your home when you are looking at design. You want to think, how can I repeat elements that help create cohesion? So while it is black granite countertops, it's actually called black mist, and it's a leather finish, our countertops in our kitchen have that, right? That's the black. And here it's actually black in the wall and black in the cabinet. So it's black is the common thread, even though I'm using it differently. And that is a way that you can provide cohesion in your design, okay? So having that common thread. And the other thing to me, so you have your cozy seating, really creating that's come, sit, love that. You have contrast, you have cohesion through using similar elements. But then the other thing, and to me what's most important in a home, is making sure that you are decorating with things that are meaningful. And what I mean by that is, when you look at your decor, are you just buying things that you see and you're like, oh, okay, whatever, I need to fill the wall, so I'm going to fill it? Or are you buying things that tell a story or have some connection to you? Now, for example, on this wall over here it's opposite me, it's actually the wall you see when you walk in from a garage, which we do multiple times every day. You walk in your garage, it's the first wall you see. And I love it because right now we're using the wall baskets, because those wall baskets point to something that is a value of our family, which is having a global focus. And so we are one part of the world. We live in Atlanta, Georgia, or outside of it, in one part of the world. And there's this huge world with many countries and people groups and landscapes and so many in cultures. And we want to be people who think that way, who don't only think of our little bubble as being the world, but recognize that our little bubble is one part of the world. And that, and one way to honor other people of other nationalities and cultural backgrounds and life experiences, for me, is to have decor that represent those different places, so that we are able to see that and remember their story. And so the wall baskets are actually made by women in Zimbabwe who make these to make income for their families. That's primarily what it's used for. But you see the beauty and the artistry and the pattern, and it's lovely. And so I love being able to support these families and people across the world, but also being able to look and remember the people of Zimbabwe and to think about their stories, their lives, to research a bit about their country. And if you're asking, does she actually do that? Yes, I do, because it is that important to me. And it's such a beautiful way to engage Brandon and my kids, and for us to be able to say, oh yeah, like Zimbabwe, what's the national animal, or what do people do there? What does the landscape look like? What happened? All of that. What's some of the history? It offers, again, opportunity for conversation that opens up our minds and our hearts and our understandings to something even greater. And it points to God's creativity and the different landscapes and places and people that he has made. So I love using decor, and there's so many elements of that, like the ways that you can use decor in such meaningful ways that provide depth and meaning to your home. Something else is actually this picture right here, which a friend gave me as a birthday present this last year. And she knew about my new obsession with flower farming and how that just when I learned about it, my mind, it just went from not knowing like really any flower names at all to researching constantly. And I've talked a bit about that and how I have the 4 cut flower garden beds that we laid out there, like I'm in it. And she bought this for me, or she printed this off for me because it is a picture of Black American women from, I don't even know what decade, a long time ago, who were flower farmers. And you know what meaning that brings for me, and to see that picture every time I look at it and I think about it, it reminds me of like my goals and my desires to really be good at flower farming. And when I can be discouraged, like, I don't know, can I do this? I look at this and I remember the people who have gone before me. And I think, again, this is how we can use our homes to be an encouragement to us. It's an encouragement to my children and my husband, and like we get to see part of our history and story, but then also it's something I can talk about with other people. And it's something that I can share with them. And so again, this is how we can decorate our homes and make our homes something more, because not everyone is going to care about flower farming. For you, it might be something different. For you, it might be some other family heirloom, or it might be a dream that you have, and maybe you have a photo of that. I don't know, but that is how I think we can take our homes and help create something that has more depth, has more meaning. And when it comes to hospitality, it allows you to share a bit of yourself. I am having this picture here because my friend knows that for me, this is something I desire. I desire to be a good flower farmer. I want to grow flowers well and to share them with others. I want to share that beauty. And she knows that about me. And so that vulnerability and that relational connectedness, that all just in a piece of artwork, it's something that I get to savor, but also share with others. And so anyway, I get very passionate about those things because I see our homes and I see design as so much more about a pretty thing. I think beauty points to hope. Beauty is good, but I want us to think deeper about even what beauty, like how we use that. And that's what I think it keeps us from just copying what other people do, but rather seeking to be intentional about what we're doing in our home and being inspired by what people do, and maybe using elements of those things, but not for the sake of just copying it, but rather to only enhance the vision that you have and the ways you want to design your home. So I'll end with this video here. Just wanted to share a short video with some encouragements and ideas of ways that you can add to your home in design. So remember, contrast. If there's something in a room and you're like, it's missing, what is it that's missing? Consider contrast. Is there a way to add that into your space that would help you, especially when you're thinking of focal points and really wanting your eye to be drawn to something in a room, which is the second point, focal points. You need to make sure you have a focal point in your room. Where does your eye draw? Where does it go to? Okay. And then cozy seating. Never forget it. It's one of the best things to have. Oh, that's all for now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I pray that you know that you are a special, valued person and you have great, great significance, and so do the people around you. So let's go and live that way. Bless y'all. Until next time.